What happens when a three-star admiral refuses to sit and 200 people wait in silence to find out who's missing? If you love stories of quiet heroes, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The ceremony was scheduled for 1400. Naval Base San Diego, California, November. A retirement ceremony for Captain Stephen Walsh. 28 years of service. The base auditorium was packed. 200 attendees. Officers, enlisted, families, everyone in dress uniforms, blues and whites, ribbons and medals gleaming under lights. Vincent Palmer was in the cafeteria kitchen when the ceremony started. 79 years old, thin, weathered, short gray hair, dark skin lined by decades of sun and hard work. He wore the navy blue cafeteria worker uniform, white apron, plastic name tag reading Vince. He'd worked base food service for 15 years, serving meals, wiping tables, cleaning trays, invisible to most people who walked through the line. What nobody knew was that Vincent "Gunny" Palmer was a retired Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant with a Silver Star. The auditorium was full, front row, reserved for senior officers. Admiral Richard Bennett entered at 13:55. Vice Admiral, 3 stars, 58 years old, fit, sharp, silver hair cut to regulation. He wore dress whites, immaculate, chest covered with ribbons, combat action ribbon, Navy Cross Bronze Star, a career of distinguished service. He walked to the front row, saw his reserved seat, second from the left. He stood beside it. Didn't sit. Commander Lisa Crawford, the ceremony officer, approached. 42 years old, efficient. She'd coordinated 50 ceremonies. "Admiral Bennett, sir, we're ready to begin. Please be seated." Bennett didn't move. His eyes scanned the room. The front row, the second row, the entire auditorium, looking for someone. "Admiral?" Crawford repeated. "We don't start yet," Bennett said. His voice was quiet but firm. Crawford checked her watch. "Sir, Captain Walsh is ready. All attendees are seated. We're on schedule." "Not everyone is seated," Bennett said. Crawford looked around. Every seat was full, people standing against the back wall because they'd run out of chairs. "Sir, I don't understand. Everyone invited is here." "No, someone is missing. We don't begin until he arrives." The room was starting to notice. Whispers. 200 people watching the Admiral stand while everyone else sat. Captain Walsh on stage looking confused. The ceremony was supposed to start, but Bennett wouldn't sit. Crawford leaned closer, kept her voice low. "Admiral, who are we waiting for?" "Vincent Palmer." Crawford pulled out her attendance list, scanned it. "Sir, I don't have a Vincent Palmer on the guest list." "Then your list is wrong. We don't start without Gunny Palmer." "Gunny?" Crawford's confusion deepened. This was a Navy retirement ceremony. Gunny was a Marine term. "Sir, is he a Marine Corps representative?" "He's the reason I'm here." "Find him," Crawford signaled to a junior officer. Lieutenant Amy Chen, 26 years old. Eager. "Find Vincent Palmer, check the parking lot, check the lobby." Chen returned 5 minutes later. "Ma'am, no Vincent Palmer signed in." Bennett spoke without looking away from the door. "He works in the cafeteria. He's probably still there. Someone needs to go get him." The auditorium was silent now. 200 people watching, waiting. The ceremony officer dispatched to the cafeteria. This had never happened before. A 3-star admiral holding up a retirement ceremony for a cafeteria worker. Captain Walsh, the man being honored, stood on stage. He whispered to the chaplain beside him. "Do you know who Vincent Palmer is?" The chaplain shook his head. "Never heard the name." 10 minutes passed. Bennett stood at attention, hands behind his back, perfectly still. Not fidgeting, not explaining, just waiting. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable, people shifting in seats, checking watches.
Finally, the auditorium door opened. Commander Crawford returned. Behind her, a thin elderly man in a cafeteria uniform. White apron still on, plastic gloves in his back pocket. He looked terrified, confused, like he'd been summoned to the principal's office. Vincent Palmer stopped just inside the door. Saw 200 people staring at him. Saw the 3-star admiral. His first instinct was to leave. He didn't belong here. Bennett saw him, for the first time since entering. The admiral smiled. He crossed the auditorium, walked straight to Vincent. Every eye followed him. Vincent stood frozen. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake. I was just finishing." Bennett came to attention, raised his right hand, saluted, sharp, crisp, perfect. Vincent's mouth opened, closed. His hands trembled. "Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer," Bennett said. His voice carried through the silent room. "United States Marine Corps, retired." The room erupted in shock. Vincent's hands came up automatically. Muscle memory from 40 years ago. He returned the salute. His form wasn't perfect anymore. His back wasn't as straight. But the motion was there. The respect. The training that never left. Bennett dropped his salute, extended his hand. Vincent took it. The admiral's grip was firm. "Gunny Palmer, it's been a long time. Admiral Bennett?" Vincent's voice was rough, unused to being the center of attention. "Rick, little Rick Bennett?" "Not so little anymore, Gunny." The room was completely silent. 200 people trying to understand what they were witnessing. A 3-star admiral calling a cafeteria worker Gunny, standing at attention for him, refusing to start a ceremony without him. Bennett turned to address the room. "Most of you don't know Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer. That's a failure on my part. This man served 28 years in the Marine Corps. 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 in the Gulf War. He earned the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, and 3 Purple Hearts. He trained more Marines than anyone I've ever met. And in 1969, he saved my life." Vincent shook his head. "Sir, that was a long time ago. You're the reason I'm standing here," Bennett interrupted. His voice was firm. "You're the reason I became an admiral. You taught me everything that matters." Commander Crawford stood nearby, tablet in hand, completely lost. Captain Walsh on stage was equally confused. This was his retirement ceremony, but it had become something else entirely. Bennett gestured to the front row. "Gunny, you're sitting with me." "Sir, I'm not dressed for this. I'm in my work clothes. I have food stains on my apron." "I don't care about your uniform. I care about you being here." Bennett looked at Crawford. "Commander, please remove my name from the reserved seat. Put Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer's name there instead." "Sir, that's your seat. You're the senior officer present. He's senior to me in the ways that matter. Do it." Crawford nodded, quickly updated her seating chart. Vincent tried to protest again. Bennett wouldn't hear it. He guided Vincent to the front row, sat him in the reserved seat. Then Bennett took the seat beside him. The audience watched in stunned silence. A 3-star admiral deferring to a cafeteria worker, giving him the seat of honor. It violated every protocol they knew, and yet, no one questioned it. The ceremony finally began. Captain Walsh gave his retirement speech. It was good, heartfelt, but everyone in the room was distracted, stealing glances at Vincent, wondering about his story, about what he'd done to earn an admiral's respect. After Walsh finished, Bennett stood, walked to the podium. This wasn't planned. Crawford checked her program. The admiral wasn't listed as a speaker, but he was a 3-star. No one was going to stop him. "Captain Walsh, congratulations on your retirement," Bennett began. Your service has been exemplary. You've earned this moment." He paused, looked at Vincent in the front row. "But I need to take a moment to tell you all about another Marine, a man who should have been honored like this, but wasn't, because he quietly slipped into retirement and took a job serving food, a job where most of you walked past him every day without seeing him." The room was riveted. Bennett's voice carried authority, command presence. Everyone listened. "In 1969, I was a second lieutenant, fresh out of Annapolis. Thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. I was assigned to a Marine rifle platoon near Da Nang. My platoon sergeant was Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer. Gunny Palmer." Vincent sat very still, eyes forward, but his jaw was tight, memories flooding back. Gunny Palmer had already done 2 tours. He'd earned a Bronze Star in his first tour. He was the most experienced Marine in our unit, and I was a 22-year-old who'd never heard a shot fired in anger. Bennett's voice dropped. The room leaned in. 3 weeks into my deployment, we walked into an ambush. NVA, North Vietnamese Army. They hit us hard. Gunny Palmer moved the platoon to cover, organized our defense, called in air support. He did everything right. I did everything wrong. I panicked, froze. An NVA soldier got through our line, had me dead to rights, rifle aimed at my chest. 3 feet away, I was going to die. The room was silent. You could hear breathing. Gunny Palmer tackled that soldier, took him down, saved my life. But in doing it, he took a round right here. Bennett touched his left shoulder. Through and through. Shattered his collarbone. He should have been evacuated, should have gone home. Bennett looked at Vincent, but Gunny Palmer refused medevac until every Marine in that platoon was accounted for. He stayed in the field, kept fighting, kept leading for 6 more hours with a shattered collarbone. He earned the Silver Star that day, for valor, for leadership, for refusing to leave his Marines. The auditorium was completely silent. Officers who'd served in Iraq and Afghanistan understood the weight of combat, the bond between Marines, the sacrifice. Bennett continued. Gunny Palmer stayed with our platoon for the rest of my tour. Taught me how to lead, how to care for my Marines, how to make decisions under fire. Everything I know about leadership, I learned from him. He gestured to the ribbons on his chest. Every award I've earned, every promotion, every command, it started with Gunny Palmer teaching a scared lieutenant how to be a Marine officer. Bennett's voice grew stronger. When I made captain, I looked for Gunny Palmer to thank him. He'd transferred to a training command. When I made commander, I tried to find him again. He'd retired, just disappeared. No forwarding address, no contact. I searched for years. Called every Marine I knew, checked every database. Nothing. Until 3 months ago, I got orders to San Diego. I was walking through the base, got lunch at the cafeteria, and there he was, serving mashed potatoes, wearing a name tag that said, Vince. Vincent sat in the front row, head down, shoulders shaking slightly, trying not to cry. I almost didn't recognize him, Bennett said. It's been 54 years. We've both gotten old. But when I saw his eyes, I knew. That's my Gunny, the man who saved my life. And he was serving food, and I'd walked past him 3 times before without seeing him. The Admiral's voice cracked, just slightly. That shame is mine to carry. I should have seen him, should have recognized him. But I was too busy, too important, too focused on my own world to see the man who made my world possible. Bennett turned to face Vincent directly. Gunny, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took me 3 months to find you. I'm sorry you've been here 15 years and I never knew. I'm sorry everyone in this room walked past you without understanding who you are. He addressed the audience again. Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer served this country for 28 years. He fought in Vietnam, trained thousands of Marines, earned the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, 3 Purple Hearts. He's a living legend, and we made him invisible. Bennett looked at Commander Crawford. From this moment forward, Vincent Palmer has full base privileges. He's authorized to attend any ceremony, any event, any function, and he'll be seated with senior leadership, because that's where he belongs. He looked at Captain Walsh. Steve, I apologize for interrupting your ceremony. This is your day. But I needed these people to know about Gunny Palmer, needed them to see him. Walsh stood, walked to the podium, extended his hand to Bennett. Admiral, don't apologize. This is exactly what today should be about. Honoring service, all service. Walsh turned to Vincent. Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer, would you please join us on stage? Vincent shook his head. Sir, this is your day. I don't want to. Gunny, Walsh said firmly. On stage. Now. That's an order. Vincent stood slowly. His knees protested. 15 years of standing on cafeteria floors. He walked to the stage. Each step felt heavy. 200 people watching him. He climbed the stairs, stood between Admiral Bennett and Captain Walsh. Walsh spoke to the audience. I spent 28 years in the Navy. I'm proud of that service, but I never earned a Silver Star. Never took a bullet for my men. Never trained thousands of warriors. This man did, and we owe him more than a seat in the cafeteria. He turned to Vincent. Gunny Palmer, on behalf of Naval Base San Diego, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for being here. The audience rose, all 200 people, standing ovation. It started slow, then built, clapping. Some people with tears in their eyes. Young sailors who'd eaten food Vincent served. Officers who'd never looked at his face. All standing, all honoring him. Vincent stood at attention, trying to hold it together. His eyes were wet, his hands trembled, but he didn't break. Marines don't break. The applause continued for 3 minutes. Finally, Bennett raised his hand. The room quieted.